Welcome to News with a View, hosted by me, John A. Costa. Today is May 18th, and this is episode 74. A conservative leading podcast that takes in both sides. If the common sense leans towards a conservative viewpoint, I'm going to take it. Now, if it doesn't, I'm going to say that too, if I think it's wrong. So, yesterday's show, episode 73, I said I would speak on CBS television and the Colbert situation. Now, normally I would consider that tabloid. But since it's been political, it has been made a political ball by the left, I'm going to discuss it. Also, today I'm going to discuss the IRS potential settlement of Donald Trump's suit against the IRS for $10 billion. Interesting stuff. And then I'll have some more comments about Iran. So, that's really heating up, folks. Don't think so? That's really heating up. So, let's get right into it. It's going to be a short show. I wanted 30 minutes. That's it. As I've stated before on my program, I was an employee of CBS Television for over 35 years. Not that I was in any major position, but in reality, it's a very small network. And you get to see a lot of things behind the scenes, and you get an understanding of the lay of the land. And, CBS was always a liberal, don't trust anyone over 35 type of mentality for almost the whole time I was there. Between 60 Minutes, when Don Hewitt was running the show, it was a pretty tight outfit, and he kept reins on everything. But still, it was somewhat independent investigation, separated so that news or 60 Minutes didn't infringe upon one another. News always tried to keep an air of objectivity. Never did it. Dan Rather, who was a fantastic journalist, won't take that away from the guy, but he messed up. And CBS allowed that to happen, and the president of news allowed a lot of things that they really shouldn't have, but they were getting ratings. And for CBS or any network, eyeballs, mostly with news, eyeballs. They want those eyeballs. In the time of long ago, news was never to be considered a profit center. It was sacrosanct that the news would be the news, and that by doing that, you didn't run afoul of the FCC and your licensing and the people on the Hill who you had to go with through the FCC. So you always wanted to make that as transparent as possible. 60 Minutes kind of broke the mold a little bit that with their investigating reporting, and then of course 48 Hours, and then it became very political, very, very political, and we get into the now in the Letterman era, where he would make jokes about everyone, and it didn't matter. I found Letterman to be humorous, but some of his stuff was clever, the Coens and who were, doing the show and stuff were, and he had good writers. But towards the end, he was a curmudgeon. I mean, he got crushed when he had to expose his relationship with staff members and interns working for CBS. The Letterman show was owned by Worldwide Pants, a Letterman company. And CBS bought the rights to air it and then had some control. And, it wasn't like, they took something off the shelf. But it was a symbiotic relationship, but CBS allowed Letterman to expand. I mean, he did, Everyone Loves Raymond and a bunch of other shows on CBS that were Worldwide Pants productions. And towards the end of Dave's career at CBS, probably his last 8 or 9 years, it was, Letterman had the feeling that, hey, you're lucky I'm showing up and doing this. And then, of course, when he had to say he was sorry for the way he was acting towards the female staff workers, interns, young girls, starting out in a career, and these were, women that were journalist majors and, not just communication majors, but journalistic aspirations. And they were starting out, like the mailroom all the way up. So they understood the whole business. And Letterman took advantage of that. It happens. It happens. Now we have Colbert who comes in there, and immediately he realizes that he's not that funny to begin with as a performer, as a writer, and he was very clever, but as a performer, to do it 5 days a week. That's a hard act to do every day, and I won't take that away from anyone doing that. It's hard, but he then realized that he could jump on the politics. Now he was a uber liberal. I don't think he started off that way, in life. But I think as he progressed, he got more and more liberal. And, Bush, the stuff that they said about Bush, the stuff that he said about Trump, I normally would have gotten you off the air. And he was getting ratings, not great ratings. I mean, even Letterman at the end, he wasn't getting great ratings. Between him and Leno, there was always a, battle there. So Colbert decided to go political, and he went after, Trump, and realized that he could get away with it. And he got bolder and bolder and bolder. Now, the difference with Colbert and Letterman is that when Colbert took the show over, CBS said, this is ours, brick and mortar. And you work for us. You don't work on your own. You know, we're not falling into that trap again. So, but they gave him a very, very long leash. And Colbert's show was about 70% political. And the things he would say, you know, he pandered to a very liberal audience. And CBS allowed it, and then allowed it, and then allowed it, and it got worse and worse and worse. And there were people inside CBS that said, hey, this guy's going to be a problem. This guy, you know, someone's got to tell him, take it down. And he wouldn't have any of that. You know, he said, it's my show. You don't like it, you know. And see, you know, where are you going to go? There wasn't that many, you know, you had the late show, but you didn't have anyone that could really fill that slot and be polished. And, you know, but Colbert was polished. But they all got on, all of them, Jon Stewart, the whole lot of the late night talking heads realized that, hey, talking about the president and talking about, you know, senators and congressmen and just going after, you know, all these people. And it was always on the Republicans. They very rarely ever said anything about a Democrat. And political jokes are funny, and they're we're always in tongue-in-cheek, good humor. These guys were vicious. These guys were vicious. They weren't funny. They made horrible, horrible statements on there as if they were factual. So what ends up happening, Trump wins. Second term. And you had CBS, 60 Minutes, who did things that they shouldn't have. CBS News that did things that they should not have done, which they never admitted to any wrongdoing, but would change their practices so that, you know, that's fine. And they settled with Trump, as did ABC settled with Trump. And you saw what happened with the Harris interview, which was an absolute disaster. And CBS, with Harris's people, spliced it together to try to make a coherent statement she was making. And someone at CBS, someone in there, you know, released that hey, you know, this woman couldn't put 6 words together. And we have it here. But they're fixing it up in post-production. Or as they used to say, sweetening it. this was a problem. And CBS and Paramount and Sundance were in negotiations before President Trump was even won all his primaries and was selected as the candidate for the Republicans. So this negotiation was going on a while with CBS and Paramount, with CBS, Paramount, and Sundance. And it was somewhere in that point where there were people going, Colbert has to go. And I'm certain that, you know, you could take this road or you could take that road. Both go to the same place. Just this one, you got to go over mountains and valleys and through waters and across an ocean. Or you take the shortcut. Now, we're not telling you what to do. And we're not going to say to you that this could happen. But it could. And CBS has friends in, you know, the Ellisons. I'm sure Ellison was like, oh, I have no problem getting rid of Colbert. The numbers speak for themselves. We're losing money with him, and that's the last thing we want to do is have, you know, lose more money. And so they said, well, let him live till the end of his contract. But tell him 6 months ahead of time, we do not envision signing you back up. And the word went out. And of course, you know, oh, it's censorship. No, it's not censorship. It's not censorship. But what the networks should look at now, very carefully, with any new talent that they're bringing on board, is a no harm clause. That when you leave here, or when we say we're not going to renew your contract and you still have, you know, months on your contract left, because they don't wait till the last day. They start doing that, you know, 6-8 months in advance. And you'll know real quick whether or not, you know, they're interested in you or not. And Colbert knew that they were not interested. He was taken back and he was kind of shocked by it, but he should not have been. But there was not a clause in their contract. There's always a morality clause, and we can fire you, and we could suspend you, and we can do all this to you. Just ask Jimmy Kimmel. But if we're not going to, you know, we want to leave on good terms here. Yeah, we're sorry, you know, you had a good run. Up till about 8 years ago, we were making money with you, but not so much now. So we gave you, you know, 160 million chances over, you know, 8 or 10 years to turn it around, and you couldn't do it. So time to change directions, and thank you. But somewhere in their contract there should have been, you can't sit there and badmouth us. And if you do, your contract ends immediately, and we separate, and, you know, we'll put up Mr. Ed episodes. We'll figure out something. So I think coming up now with any new talents coming in, they're going to definitely have clauses in there saying you cannot. If you do, we can sue you for everything we paid you in this contract. So if you had a 3-year contract and you're at the end of your 3rd year and you're still working for us and you badmouth us, we can go back to day 1 of that contract and sue you for all that money. A good faith. Now, when you leave, we might have you sign, in your contract, you might be required to sign an NDA to get your last payments. Or anything else. There could be, bonuses paid at the end. You got to sign this NDA. And we'll show you what that NDA is before you sign your contract. We're not going to throw that out in front of you, though there's always clauses in there that they can go back and renegotiate certain aspects of your contract. If laws change, if things change, we can go back in there and adjust for that. So I think CBS, Sundance, is going to get very aggressive with that and say, listen, if you work for us, that's what you got to do. And, they're going to say, well, that, puts a censorship on me. Yeah, well, you're right. It does. It does. And if you feel so strongly against that, don't sign the contract. And if that is something that we just can't go any further with this, thank you. And, we have a plan B. There's always a plan B with these companies. So, you're not going to hold them over a barrel. You're just not going to do that. And Colbert thought that he could. And then he brings Letterman in there. And Letterman is, telling CBS, called them, mother effers. And a guy that CBS and him had a relationship where they made billions. And he didn't think Colbert should be let go. Hey, Dave, you've been out of the picture for years. You have a little show that you do, and it's nice and it's cute, and you grew your ZZ Top beard, but we're not going to put up with you. And God forbid, I can imagine if that would have all come out during the Me Too, he would have been gone. They would have demanded that Ed Sullivan studio be leveled down to the foundation. Phonies. And I would say that anyone that will hire Colbert now is really looking at what did the contract say? I'm sure they're only giving him 3 months, 6 months contract so that they can get out of it. And I do not see much of a success story for Colbert. I really don't. He burned his bridges, and there's no coming back. And that's my tale with CBS. And CBS could be a very vengeful place, just like any employer. And the idea and the saying, yeah, but what have you done for me lately? Really, it's television. It's television. It's brutal. So that's what I'm saying there. That 24 minutes on that subject. Okay. The IRS, according to certain news sources, has come up with a settlement proposal for Donald Trump's lawsuit. So he has officially went to court and removed his suit from the docket. And this was against Trump and the IRS. because a contractor released Donald Trump's personal tax returns, his family's tax returns, and people associated with Trump tax returns. So no. And the contractor, Charles Littlejohn, was convicted and sentenced in 2024 to 5 years in prison. The settlement award, or the settlement fund that the IRS allegedly has set up is for $1,776,000,000, 1776, on the 150th birthday type deal. I mean, this is, you find it interesting, and of course, Trump has said that money's not all going to me. You screwed 1,500 people out here that we know of, where you shook and had no reason to shake the tree. And then you released through a contractor that you had the power over, and you knew he was getting these files of these people under the Biden administration, and just turned the other way. They weaponized the IRS, just like Obama did when he went after the Tea Party through the IRS, and the Department of Justice went to him and goes, yeah, you don't want to do that, pal. You'll find yourself in a lot of trouble. So that stopped. Now, 93 members of Congress, and they got wind of this, and they filed a motion with the courts that the Department of Justice is contained in how they can make a settlement. And there's limits that the DOJ can pay and do. And there's really not, I mean, there are limits, and it's like $10 million on certain things and per filer, and $2 million if it's a tax return issue, and they can do 3 years with interest and kind of push it out. Now that's you have delegation of authority, meaning who's allowed to do it, who's allowed to make that deal. It couldn't be Sally in accounting. The ability to pay this money out all in one gulp or stretch it out, and then a joint committee review. And that's usually done for tax return issues. But it all falls under the, these were tax returns and refunds. And the delegation of authority, who authorized it, and did President Trump tell them this is what I want? I want $1,776,000,000. Yeah, do it. So, Jamie Raskin, that little devil, a moron. He really is a stupid guy. He's going crazy with this, and he says the president is siphoning money. He's stealing money from the taxpayers. He's doing this. President's not doing it. Now, if the IRS says, I got 1,500 potential cases out there at $10 million, this might be the way to go. And the IRS might also know that, Yeah, we knew this guy was pulling files. We knew it. And no one said anything. You know, how would you let an outside contractor take someone who's under federal investigation and get access? Everything with Donald Trump should have been held and could only be done through the highest levels on a need-to-know basis on why that information is going to that guy's desk. And you have to bring your reason for that. What's your need to know? And this wasn't done. They didn't care. They giggled and laughed and said, we'll get this out there. You don't want to release your tax information? No problem, pal. Hey, I'm going to go out for a cup of coffee. I'm going to be gone, 2 hours. And they leave files that were able to be got at to. So the IRS knows that they were in trouble with this. And that this contractor who they allowed him access to these type files, give me a break. Give me a break. At least the Trump family should have had locks on their files to say, boom, oh, hold, this guy's looking for it? What were you looking at it for? Now, you didn't get anything because we have it locked, but we know that you looked for it. Why? What were you doing? And maybe go out through their top-level people and go, you tell the troops, anyone looks at the Trump family or, these Social Security numbers, something like that, it's going to be denied, and we're going to know they looked at it. So don't do it. And they didn't. They failed to take privacy seriously. Wink, wink, nod, nod, Don't look at it. So we knew what they were doing. The IRS knows it. And a court, juries would know it. And Jamie Raskin, you know it too. The whole bunch of you are really, all politicians are slimy. But man, I tell you, the crop of Democrats sitting up there, there's very few. I admire Senator John Kennedy out of Louisiana because he gets up there and he's an intelligent speaker. And he's a good old boy and uses homespun words. But you know what he uses? Logic. And why? Because he's a good lawmaker and he was a good lawyer. And he surrounds himself with smart people. And you have people on the other team that just say, crazy, stupid things. They make no sense. And they're crying out of emotions, crocodile tears, And there's no basis for it in the Constitution. There's no basis for it in law that you think that they should be adhering something to. You're just making it up. Jeffries. Making stuff up. We're, we have to have people get involved in the government. Or, this is the only way we could have a democracy. They're not being able to do it. Yeah, they were able to do it. They had their own district. They were able to do it. And now those districts have been deemed to be based on a discriminatory practice, which is now ended. See how democracy works? Though I said we're not a democracy. We're a republic with democratic principles. But do you see how those democratic principles work? Congressman Jeffries, Representative Raskin, and there's Democrats sitting there going, this is becoming very hard for me to continue down this road. Because at some point someone's going to come up to me and go, you agree with that? You just blindly agree to that? Because that's what fascism is. You just blindly agree to this. And I can understand where, people could say the same thing about Trump and have, where he said, well, Cassidy didn't go along with Trump. No, Cassidy didn't go along with his party, as did Massie. Didn't go along with his party. A rhino. And they say, well, Fetterman's a Dino, a Democrat in name only. And he turns around and he goes, no, I'm using what the Constitution says, what our laws say, and what common sense says as it's applied to the law. You could say common sense, every person should be fed, every person should have $1 million, every person, yeah, okay, you could call that common. How do you make that happen? Without infringing upon someone else's, gig. So, I think that the Democrats are getting their pants beat off them. Getting the pants beat off them. And there's nothing, they have no plans. They have nothing. They have nothing to show for the last 2 years. Nothing. They have offered nothing. I hate Trump. Baby Trump. Look at his hair. Orange man. Bad. Meh. That's it. No solutions. No solutions. Run around with your blue hair. But the American people have figured you out. Your own people in your party have figured you out. And I see on these, people saying, the tsunami of the blue. What tsunami? You guys are getting your pants beat off you. You started a fight that you can't finish. Because you're not going to last. It's a 10-round bout, and you're out in the third round. You're laying on the canvas. And there's no getting up. 6, 7, 8. Yeah. Yeah. No plan. No nothing. But I hate Trump. Trump bad. They're done with it. American American politics is done with that. And I said, now the gloves are coming off. I would have taken them off in April. I wouldn't wait till May and June. But it's going to get rougher for you Democrats. All right, everyone, please give to a charity if you can. I realize some people are put off by that, and I can understand that. Make sure the charity is above board. You go to them. Don't have them come to you and knock and go, hey, give me some money. We've seen how that goes. If you're not interested in that, please think about giving to a food bank. They need food, of course, and they also need monetary help so they can address a problem going on right in front of them. It helps 99% of the time locally. And you feel good. You did something. I just didn't say, whatever. Gee, I hope for the best for them. You did something. You bring 6 cans of food. Of course, non-expired, of course. Boxes of noodles. Things that people can use. Dry goods. Things that they could use. And they also need paper products, toilet paper, feminine products. Things that people really need. Say a prayer. Prayer does work, regardless of what a Democrat might tell you. Please, if you made it this far, become a subscriber. Leave comments, like. I don't mind, and I've had some people leave some doozies, Bob in New York. But I do answer them all. Some of them are cryptic, and I don't fully understand it, and I might ask, I'm not sure what that means. Can you be a little bit more specific in why you say, I suck? My wife at least tells me why I'm an idiot. Factual. Sure. Everything seems bad if you remember the facts. All right, everyone. Be safe, be well, be careful. Hug those next to you. As I fade to black.